On the programme, London's Heathrow Airport resumes full operations after power outage that's delayed passenger travels. Tunisia gets new Prime Minister as Kais Saied sacks third Prime Minister in less than 2 years. Tunisia says it has cut ties with IMF. What is happening as Rwanda cuts diplomatic ties with Belgium over Congo's conflict and EU sanctions? Well, remember, Global Updates is that program that brings you up to speed with stories you might have missed within the week. And of course, it is a platform that showcases your diaspora and diplomatic activities. Welcome, I am Dennis Adegunloye. Here is a graphic representation of trending stories within the week. London's Heathrow Airport came to a standstill when a nearby fire was reported. At least 1,351 flights to and from Heathrow were affected, and 120 affected aircraft were already in the air when the closure was announced. Sources say the fire came from an electrical substation that involved a transformer containing 25,000 litres of cooling oil, which supplies Heathrow, causing a major power outage at the airport and prompting its closure. The substation is about 1.5 miles away from the airport.
London Heathrow says it's once again fully operational after this towering blaze forced a total shutdown of one of the world's busiest airports and unleashed a global wave of travel chaos. The airport adding extra flights and staff to try to clear the backlog, and its CEO apologizing for the mess. Heathrow usually sees 1,300 daily takeoffs and landings. Its runways were a parking lot, leaving passengers stranded and travel plans upended. The fire erupted at a power station, knocking out Heathrow's electricity, plunging passengers into darkness and paralyzing escalators in silent terminals.
I feel like I've been picked up and dropped by aliens.
Police say there's no evidence of foul play, but an investigation now underway by counter-terrorism officers. 100 flights were mid-air en route to Heathrow when it was abruptly shut. 6 of them diverted to Washington Dulles, another 5 to New York JFK.
To Tunisia now, as the country has taken the decision to cut all communication with the International Monetary Fund. This follows claims from President Kais Saied that the IMF is overstepping its role and interfering in the country's economic sovereignty. The move reflects rising tensions between the Tunisian government and the global financial institution, which has been a key partner in providing financial assistance to the North African nation in recent years.
Tunisian authorities and IMF leaders agreed on a bailout loan in October 2022, but President Kais Saied refused to sign the deal, saying that foreign diktats will lead to more poverty.
Regarding the IMF, foreign dictates that will lead to more poverty are unacceptable. The alternative is to rely on ourselves.
Tunisia has rejected most of the IMF's conditions, which include austerity measures such as subsidy and public wage bill cuts. The country's subsidies on fuel and food have been in place for several decades to provide households with affordable access to essential goods.
The conditions imposed by the IMF are harsh and unfair towards the population. Removing the subsidy system is impossible in Tunisia because it has social repercussions. Reducing the public sector wage bill must be gradual and not sudden. These measures are not suitable for the country's social and economic situation. We can make our own structural reforms without dealing with the IMF.
In 2013 and 2016, the IMF issued two separate loans to Tunisia, the first comprising $1.74 billion and the second comprising $2.9 billion.
Neither loan has had noteworthy effects on the economy. There was no economic growth, no investment, and no job creation because the loans were being used to pay for salaries and state expenditure. Effective reform should come from within. Currently, the IMF loans and conditions are not suitable for the economy.
Tunisia paid $4 billion of foreign debt in 2024, an increase of 40% compared with 2023, without defaulting. North African state also repaid 20% of its public debt services in the first month of 2025.
Let's take this situation report on the North African country as it continues to contend with major social and economic challenges.
Qais Said's new slogan is Construction and Edification from 2024 until 2029. His supporters say the new 5-year term will set the stage for consolidating the presidential project. Economic observers say Tunisia took progressive steps toward fighting corruption, but more must be done to eradicate this phenomenon and to boost the ailing economy. Tunisia also faces challenges in dealing with the flows of irregular migrants. As a result of the Italian-Tunisian partnership to mitigate migration, about 15,000 migrants are estimated to be stuck in the North African country, according to the International Organization for Migration. Experts believe the real number is much higher than IOM estimates.
واستحالة العبور نحو إيطاليا نتيجة السياسة اللي انخرطت فيها تونس منذ السنة الفارطة.
The National Institute of Statistics says GDP growth rate has reached only 1% in the second quarter of 2024, while unemployment stands at around 16% in Tunisia.
After this time out, we'll have more stories. Stay tuned. We'll be back shortly.
Celebrate Ramadan with Bafi and enjoy up to 40% off on selected products from living room, dining room, bedroom, and royal sets. Pay less, save more, and refresh your home for iftar gatherings and cherished moments with family and friends. Visit our showrooms in Abuja, Lagos, Kano, and Enugu, or shop online to enjoy our exclusive Ramadan sale. Let's make this Ramadan unforgettable.
I am Oluremi Tinubu, the global and national Stop TB champion. Many people have asked why I've chosen to champion the fight against a disease like tuberculosis. My reason stems from a deep personal experience. I once had a friend who unfortunately fell ill and concealed the nature of his sickness until it was too late. Eventually, after he passed, we discovered he had tuberculosis. Sadly, due to the stigma and discrimination surrounding the disease, he would not speak up or seek for help. His death was a painful reminder that we could have intervened and saved a life if only we had known earlier. Tuberculosis is an airborne disease that primarily affects the lungs, but can also impact other parts of the body. Being airborne means anyone, regardless of their social economic status, can contract it. In Nigeria, 1 person dies of TB-related illness every 7 minutes, amounting to 206 deaths every day. Globally, 1 person succumbs to TB every 25 seconds, which is a staggering 3,456 lives lost daily. These deaths are entirely preventable because TB is curable if detected and treated early. If you or someone you know has been coughing for 2 weeks or more, coughing up blood, experiencing night sweats, or losing weight drastically, it might be TB. Please visit the nearest government hospital or primary healthcare center for proper diagnosis and treatment. TB treatment is free in all government and some private health facilities. Let us also remember not to stigmatize or discriminate against TB patients or those who have been treated for TB. Individuals who have been cured of TB cannot infect others. I call on all stakeholders, especially the private sector, to join us in the fight to end TB in Nigeria. Together, we can make a difference. Remember, TB anywhere is TB everywhere. End TB by 2030. Yes, we can.
Sudan's army claims recapture of Presidential Palace, but RSF says its forces remain close.
There were widespread celebrations in Al Jazeera state and other parts of Sudan as the Sudanese army took control of Wad Madani on Saturday. This was a surprising military advance amid a deteriorating security and humanitarian situation in the state and nearby regions. Many civilians have been on the receiving end of atrocities committed by the RSF, and they've welcomed the Sudanese military's latest battlefield conquest.
We are very satisfied and surprised. The RSF militia have committed horrific violations in Al Jazeera for over a year. It's time for them to be defeated. They have no future in Sudan.
It took a long time to do it, but it happened. We were displaced for over a year and we've lost everything when RSF took over Madani. But now we can start from the beginning and return home.
Wad Madani has been under the control of the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces since December 2023, and it's been a center for their operations towards nearby states.
Wad Madani is the capital of Al Jazeera state and the nearest city to Khartoum. It has hosted hundreds of thousands of people since the war erupted in the capital on April 2023 and morphed into a major agricultural and industrial hub.
The recent Sudanese military victory in Wad Madani has seen paramilitary leader Mohammed Hamdan Daglo accuse Sudan's armed forces of deploying mercenaries and using advanced Iranian drones in the battlefield onslaught.
This development will place a stranglehold on the RSF and besiege them on eastern Khartoum and Al Jazeera and cut the supply routes. It has short and long-term and strategic importance, which shall accelerate the retaking of the capital and minimize the conflict zones.
The relentless fighting in Sudan has caused a humanitarian crisis, which has seen over 12 million people displaced and thousands killed. It has also pushed the health system and economy to the brink of collapse. Despite the continued fighting, there are increasing calls by the international community for a peaceful resolution of the current conflict that has left millions leading desperate and miserable lives.
Namibia has sworn in its first female president, Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah. She won elections that extended the ruling party's 35-year grip on power. Aged 72, Nandi-Ndaitwah became one of the few women to lead an African nation in a ceremony attended by heads of state from several countries on the continent, including Angola, South Africa, and Tanzania. The opposition Independent Patriots for Change, IPC, mounted a strong challenge, but secured only 25.5% of the presidential vote. Namibia is one of the world's leading uranium producers and is also rich in diamonds. Nigeria has allocated approximately $5.47 billion towards external debt servicing between January 2024 and February 2025, underscoring the mounting pressure on government revenue and the nation's foreign reserves, according to data. As the government works to stabilize the economy, policymakers continue to explore strategies to enhance revenue generation, increase foreign exchange inflows, and reduce dependence on external borrowing to alleviate the nation's rising debt burden. Now, considering how African diaspora can support creativity through innovations, startups or entrepreneurship, we are joined by the Prime Minister of the African diaspora to discuss how African youths can be supported.
So basically, what we do is development. We have programs of action in all sectors of activities, from health to education, from economy to finance, from mines to energy, culture, agriculture, etc. We do whatever a state is expected to do. We are a state without borders, but we are everywhere in Africa and beyond. We deal with all the diasporas. So it means the young diaspora, which means the migrants, the people who left Africa 1, 2, 3 generations ago, but also the historic diaspora, which means the people whose ancestors were deported 2, 3, 4, 5 centuries ago. But yes, of course, we are also very involved in Nigeria or Nigerian affairs. For example, our Minister of Trade is coming from Nigeria, Mr. Ebube Ebisike. At the moment, we are also working with a Nigerian company to establish a maritime company along the coast of Nigeria to favor international trade between Nigeria and the rest of the world. So there are many things we're doing with Nigeria at the moment, but not only Nigeria, but of course Nigeria is a strong economy in the continent and the world, and also very important in our government. So to create these connections, for example, we have a strong program for restitution of artifacts. We managed to get the artifacts of Benin back to Africa, and the president of Benin invited me 2 years ago to his palace to thank me in the name of the population. We are also creating smart cities all over the world, especially in Africa. We have already signed 32 or 33 cooperation agreements to build smart cities. These cities will be not only for the local population, but also for the diaspora abroad, the people who want to come back to their country. So our smart cities will be in Nigeria, in the two Congos, in South Africa, Lesotho, Kenya, etc. So that's one of the programs, one of our major programs actually for development, because in a smart city, you will have to do a lot of construction, business, trade, education, health, etc. But the funds are available. Actually, I should have mentioned that, but we have already discussed with local authorities to build 4 smart cities in Nigeria. So the funds are available, the projects are there, the local authorization have been given. What is missing now is the government, actually.
Here are other stories within the week under review.
The Makari quarry site attracts workers from various localities around the Bombali district. The heat is intense, yet for many, this is the only option for survival.
I don't have an alternative way to fend for myself except here. I don't have anywhere. I have lost my husband and I am a single mother. I don't have any other way to make money.
As a single mother of 4, women like Maria too have worked here for years with little support or hope for change. Day in and day out, the quarry workers battle not just for the physical demands of their work, but the oppressive heat that pushes them to their limits. Beyond the physical labor and social challenges, doctors have highlighted growing concerns about the health of quarry workers.
Quarry have a lot of health implications ranging from respiratory tract issues and down to mental health issues. For instance, quarry granite releases chemicals like silica, especially the rock has silica, which can cause silicosis and also can cause chronic bronchitis.
The Ministry of Social Welfare says they have been supporting the workers at the site.
In recent years, there has been cash transfers to vulnerable families. You know, people that work in quarries are categorized among the vulnerable families. So those cash transfers were geared towards supporting those families.
For now, these stone miners will continue to labor in the heat and dust while struggling for survival. Eric Kawa, reporting for CGTN in Makari, Northern Sierra Leone.
Well, that concludes this week's episode of Global Updates. We hope you will join us again for another fresh package, same time next week. Remember, showcase your activities here. I am Dennis Adigunloye.